What's up? Howdy, partner. Howdy, partner. Hey, what's up? What's up? I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a whole lot about kind of what took place, right? No birth yet. I'm standing by. I'm pretty fucking fired up. All right. I figured it's probably a good time to talk about Satan. Should we talk about Satan? I don't think we've ever talked about Satan. It's not a very good word, just like God isn't a very good word. They're very inappropriate. They have no relation to the actual quality, right? So the quality is suggestively contained within their a a being doing that. So we got lag. I mean, I got full bars, and else I can do. So I got a whole. What we got? We got no signal here or what? Fuck's sake! It's just ridiculous. Should I just sit around and wait on you? It's good. So what am I doing? What am I doing? So right now, I'm taking a pair of Satans and I'm turning them into a pair of nothings. Okay? Now I go through a lot of pairs of nothings all the time. And so it is a pain in the ass, but it's important, right? It's important to turn Satan into nothing. Okay? Very important. Feels really good too. It feels great. When I buy things, now you got to be careful. You got to be careful because Satan is wants to be anywhere. It's like water. Like the water finding the path of least resistance. That is like the Satan, right? And so they want to be, you know, conspicuously, okay? And they also want to be all the places that you would forget to look. Okay? To look. Satan wants to be between you and the earth. See, Satan wants you to not be seen and only it to be seen. Okay? Let's put these bad boys on. I'm changing out for another. This is another pair of nothings. Okay? This is another pair of nothings. These ones have served me pretty well. They've served me pretty well. They're much better after you clean them, right? Much better. Feel much better. Feel much better. Oh man, that nothing feels good. It is everywhere. You're not going to be able to defeat it by yourself. Oh man, that feels just right. Just right. I could really put this boot directly into somebody's ass. I go through a lot of boots. A lot of boots. Oh, let me turn this out. Let's get her out there. Son of a bitch. Somebody says Carter Culture is my favorite logo. Yeah, I know, right? You gotta be born sometime, don't you? Luke says, I don't know why they started putting logos on the outside of clothing. Sure you do. Paper Soldier says he's going to send me an email in a bit about some supplements for CNS health. Well, that'll be interesting because it's probably going to go straight in the trash because I don't have an email that you're going to know. And I don't have whatever email you have probably isn't active. And I wouldn't be taking any supplements anyway. So you can have fun doing that. What does it even mean? Are you like trying to offend me? Is that what it is? That you're gonna like enlighten me on here? I mean, I'm open to that, and I'm listening. If you're gonna send me CNS supplement lists, I promise you that's not gonna do it. Oh, man. Man, this is a crisp pair of nothings. Oh. Those will definitely well. I can feel it. Fatherhood tiring? It's not tiring. It's energizing, if anything. Cameron would like a large list of the CNS supplements, please. I know. I'm giving you a hard time, paper. How's the reception? Not too bad. Cameron says, it's not bad. Luke says it's fucking perfect. All right. Oh, man. Yeah, I need to do my truck. I need to just fucking knock the entire grill off. It's hard because it's so overwhelming because, it's everything. It's literally, it's everything, right? I'm fine with it because I don't see it, but it's just a constant uphill battle. Defeat. You can grow tobacco for your own chew. I got a bunch of it. I tried last year. It didn't work out very well. I had a bad crop. This year, we'll see what happens. Try it again. Try to learn. What? So somebody says, what's the problem with logos? I don't get it. How do we talk? I guess that's a fair question. That's a fair question. It's difficult to answer without a preparation. Tobacco is a really effective CNS stimulant. It can also lead you to a horrible, excruciating death. The problem with logos is that we call them logos, and they're not really logos, right? I mean, it is appropriate for them to be called logos in a way, but how do I put this? This thing that I put on my foot, right? This is for a purpose, right? It's for a purpose. The image that somebody makes and plasters on it is an image, right? The image, because of the nature of creation, of how everything is drafted in relationship to from one thing to the other, defines what it is, and it influences what it is. So what does that mean? That means that the nature of the identity of something changes with what it comes into contact with and the way that it comes into contact with it, right? Now, this should be understood in a lot of ways. Number one, the effect of color. So when a color is next to another color, it changes the color. So I'll say that again if you didn't get that. A color next to another color changes the color. Both colors change. In like kind of sorta, I mean they literally change. I mean that for any spectrum that you would view with any set of the between the two changes what them are in relationship to one another. That includes everything from when we look at something like light intensity to the reflective wavelength that we model as color. So even though with our instruments that we would measure and quantify wavelength, even though those don't change, the quality of what it actually is in its interaction with us changes. It changes. So, if you've ever painted a house or something, you ever try to paint a house with white, and you paint it, and you're like, this motherfucker just feels cold, right? And then you change it over to like a kind of like a yellowish tint white or something, like, oh, now that feels better, right? This all has to do with the other colors in your house. So if you paint a wall white and it's perfect, and then you had like tile floor, let's say, and you change your tile floor, it can completely change the white on the wall, right? So this is the actual quality of what we perceive with senses, in all senses. It's not just sight, it's everything, right? So the relationship of everything to everything else affects the identity of both of those things, always. And it's true, not just for colors or something like that. It's true for everything. It's all things. It's everything in physicality. In the domain of physicality, it is all of those things, okay? I mean, it goes into, here's something simple, right? Imagine a hero and a villain, right? A hero is defined by its opposition to something else, right? And a villain is defined by its opposition to something, right? So you could imagine, if you imagined, I don't know, like DC Comics, like superhero versus supervillain, right? It would kind of change the identity. You could have an established identity between two ideas, and they're very well defined. And then if they're like having sex with each other, it kind of changes the definition, right? Like you no longer see it as like an opposition. There's no longer a hero and villain, right? These are just two weirdos being lustful, degenerate, right? It kind of takes away the identity of both of them, right? You see what I'm saying? If Batman is just sitting around in his apartment all the time, like eating popcorn and Hot Pockets and like jerking off to black.com, he's not really like it's not really the same, right? It requires his interaction and effort to face off against his inversion, right? And so they define each other, right? And one can't be what it is without the other, right? And so in the same way, the system of the way that this creation is, it's like a test that we've failed for so long that it's just entirely overboard at this point, and it's going to require intervention at some point. Because it's just far too powerful. Far too powerful. And it will, if left to its own identity, it would swallow everything up. So in the same way, like where we're talking about the definition, right? We're talking about the definition between things, right? And how it defines them. This is the identity. So just like the colors change when you hold them up next to one another, and I mean that in a literal way. You know, like for any practical, you know, the only use of color is your engagement with it, right? Like your eyes looking at something, right? That's the only use of color. It serves no other purpose, right? So there may be motherfucking gamma rays busting through this bitch from one side of the planet to the other, like this is just a stick of hot butter, right? And they're just whipping right through here. It wouldn't fucking matter to you. It wouldn't matter like what kind of dramatic things gamma rays are affecting. You don't even know about. So it doesn't even affect you, right? The color you see all the time, right? The colors you see all the time. It's much different because it is your interface, right? It's what you're meant to see. The actual identity of what the color is not the wavelength. It is the relationship of the thing to another thing in contrast. So what does that mean? That means that when you hold up, depending on, and what's really interesting is that depending on who you're from, right? Depending on who you're from, and this isn't limited to just vision, this is every sense. Depending on where you come from, you have been made with slight differences in your physicality and the way that you perceive color. Now, in biological sciences, they call this, you know, they would call this like your cone structure. They would talk about color theory. It would be a biological science, right? And they really try to understand. In the exact same way that an owl doesn't see the same thing in the same way that you do, with the same light levels, just like that, people do not see the same thing. Okay? Even though you see the same approximate what you would call a band, an electromagnetic band in the visible spectrum, even though you think that you see the same thing, you don't see the same thing. There are differences. And so your conures, all right, structures of your eye, they change the intensity of the difference in contrast between colors. And so some people have pleasure, they find it, like pleasurable to view different sets of colors, right? We all have different tastes in color, right? And this is just a small example. But if you held up a color that you're particularly sensitive to, this is true of all color. It doesn't have to be one that you're sensitive to. It's true of infrared wavelength, colors that you can't see. It's still true. But the colors that you are sensitive to in the visible spectrum, you can hold one up next to another, like yellow, green, gray. And then you can take different colors of gray that are different shades, and you will change the color of the yellow and the green. They'll appear lighter. They will appear darker. If you take blue and red and you use other intermediate colors between, you will change the intensity of the hue of like blue. Like how blue is it? How red is it, right? These all change. The wavelength doesn't change. The wavelength is the same. But the actual quality changes to the extent that you can be tricked. You can say that is 100% not the same color. And it will be. You could say that is 100% the same color, and it's not. And you just can't see it because of the illusion, right? Now, in a similar way as that, when we the invent is a tool for something, right? It is a tool for something. What's the purpose of putting something on your foot? So that you can move, right? So you can move. What, can't you move with? Yeah, of course. You might step with your foot, and then right? After. So you might want some boots, right? That's what they are. It's a tool for something, right? But what is that sign that's on there? Sign contact with, including others. It distracts. It puts distance between you and your existence. It puts distance between you and your creator. Who created the boots? Wasn't Vietnam or China. You know who made the boot. So why put a logo on there? Why put an image on there? If you know who made the boot, why put a deceptive sign on there? Well, because the sign, just like the boot, serves a purpose, and it could be used directly for its purpose more easily without the sign. Just like that, the sign has a purpose, right? The sign has a purpose. Is the sign's purpose to take you where the boot will take you? No. No, it's not. The sign's purpose is to make a web. Because when you have the sign, and everybody else has the sign, you'll have, just like your creation connects and defines the quality of things by their relationship to everything else, the same thing happens with signs, right? Very complicated of the introduction of that subject into mankind. They're absolutely dominating in that science. Just like you relate to another object to another object, person to another person, changes the identity of both of the things. The same thing happens with signs. So for example, if you're a young man and if you're, in creation, then you're regardless of what you want to do, regardless of your intent, you're going to be driven to fill the earth. No matter what. It doesn't matter if you're successful or unsuccessful. That is what you'll be driven to do. Okay? And then let's say that there's a woman, and it is your idea for whatever reason of your target of what you want to fill the earth with, right? And let's say that they're walking around and they're completely covered head to toe with a sign, right? especially if you don't know that you're going to be fill the earth and you're of the sun associated. And the same thing happens with technology, with cars, right? You know, it's sex. They say sex sells, right? Because they put the woman in the car next to the car magazine, right? But that's not really the reality. If you want to take that example, look at it is applicable to us in a very specific way that is different than what is. Just like the car are applicable in a different way than what they really are. So if we take the situation of the car chick on the car, right? And now you want the car, right? If we take that example, right? If we push it out to its maximal reality, right? Because what's a person's life? What is a person's life? What do people live right now? Is there an average of like 80 years or something like that? Whatever the average lifespan. What about 100 years? Are we breaking up here? Would you guys shut the fuck up about HARP for a minute? Why are you guys talking about all side shit? It's like no matter how much I try to help you guys, you can't help but just like sabotage yourself. Who gives a fuck about HARP? No, you're not disrespecting me. I don't need any respect. You got lag? Okay, sorry. All right, that's my bad. Let me try to get in a better spot. Fuck. Oh, fuck. All right, what do we got if I put it right here? You got any signal here or what? You got anything right here? I'm losing my train of thought. You guys got a signal or what? All right, we're good. Okay, so you heard what I said about the example with the sex cells, and they put the booty shorts girl with the rice burner on the magazine, right? And then you want the car, right? It's a pretty basic example, right? What I'm trying to tell you is that it's all tied together with your inner color define each other in relation. The same thing happens with everything, abstract or physical, from other worlds or this world. So something like time, right, which is outside of you, right? You're just subject to it. But it plays a role in how this entire thing identifies itself and exists. Okay? So the ultimate truth of the girl with the car, right? And how you want a car, the ultimate truth is that if you went to a span of, maybe the girl lives 80 years, maybe the car lasts 80 years. But if you go 120 years, I'm going to say that. We'll say 120 years. If we go forward in the future 120 years, that rice burner is going to be rotting in a field. And it's going to be rusty and mangled. And it's probably going to be turned into a bunch of Chinese batteries. Girl, right? That is the truth. She's going to be completely decomposed. She's probably hardly going to have any bones left at that point. Do you want to have sex with a bunch of bones? Hopefully not. Do you want to reorganize your day, and like, are you motivated to go get the new high-paying job so that you can buy a mangled hunk of shit that's like out in a junkyard somewhere that you can pay, exorbitant amounts of money for, and spend your entire year's salary just like saving up, eating ramen noodles and shit, so that you can go buy a mangled lump of shit in a yard? J-Dog's like, yeah. Right, Dave Kopp got it. There's no more booty, right? The booty, right? Now that's something that you could figure out on your own. It's going to be a lot harder if you're constantly having to trip over these fucking signs, right? If you're constantly going to have to trip over these signs, you could not come to that conclusion, right? There's no difference between that girl with the booty shorts on the truck, on the rice burner. There's no difference between her on that photo and her on the last day of her life, when she's old and when she can't walk and when she can't see and she's getting ready to go somewhere else. There's no difference at all. Do you know what the difference is? The difference is the illusion of time that you're subject to, that we're all subject to. That is the real difference there. But they are in fact the same person, right? They're the same person. They are the same person. There is no difference. That much should be obvious, right? Now, what was it all for? What was it all for? What was the time spent doing? Why wake up? Why eat food? Why go and make new life? Why not be a host? Why be a host to bring new life in? Everything has a purpose, right? What purpose does the sign have? What purpose does the sign have? What about the energy put in the sign, right? Do you think that the first guy that made a little image for a logo to attach to something to identify it, the difference between them and the biggest Fortune 500 companies now that are having teams of 40 people have arguments over coffee and boardrooms, offices to decide on the most effective way to sell their product? There's a difference, right? There's a difference. Now they're trying to get at something, right? They're trying to get at something. They're trying to make the most effective sign, right? Whereas the guy who just like comes up with some shit and just like, there you go. It's different, right? I mean, they are the same in intent, but the effectiveness is different, right? Do you think that some company Luke says he put the logo on because he was proud of what he created. Do you think that like Nike coming out with their like 50th series of fucking Air Force Ones is proud of their Air Force Ones that they make overseas and then hide that they're doing that, or try to? That they don't want anybody to know what goes into the shoes to making them, what kind of acids and isocyanides are used to make the plastics and the phenols, and like, do you think any of that stuff helps sell shoes at all? It doesn't. And that has a purpose, right? It has a purpose. The sign has a purpose. The sign has a purpose. Just the same way that we think that our colors and the signs that we make have a purpose in anything that we communicate. The signs and logos of large sociological structures like companies and governments, all these things have a purpose, and they don't really understand them because they have their own intent, right? And that is separate and apart from what you see to identify them, what it really is, right? Now, the one thing that you should know about signs is that they could be anything. And what's common in industrial produced things like foods and shit like that, what's very common is that you have some product that's something that people want, and then you get a logo, right? And the logo becomes the product, right? It becomes the product, right? Can you imagine the difference in the way that your perception would be if Coca-Cola never made a logo? If they had no little Coca-Cola sign, it was just a brown fluid in a bottle, and always was. Can you imagine the difference in their successive proliferation of that product into people's bodies? It's a stark difference, right? It's a stark difference. So the product becomes the image, right? And then what happens once the product becomes an image? The product can be rotated out for something else, right? Just like Coca-Cola has changed their formula. And so the product's not the same, but it still has the same image, right? You see the same thing, it's not the same thing. You get what I'm saying? And so when we live in this place that we're in, we are just accosted with signs that are deception, making people believe and accept things that are not what they are, right? And this is confusion and chaos. This is confusion and chaos. This is a disorder. This is absolute disorder. And this is partially what is responsible for where we're at as people in this time, right? This is what's responsible for it. In its part, where its part is, right? So what do? We walk around all day. We don't even see the signs, right? Like we're just trying to live. Most of us are just trying to live. Yeah, we may get we might develop our own sensitivity to like the sight of others when they see us and what they think about us, especially if we're vain and if we're concerned with the physical, with the material and superficiality. We can get sensitive to where, especially like young people are very sensitive where they say, my identity is in the sign that I wear. I only get this product. I only get this product. It's me, right? And then if there's something that is out of place from the demanded order from wherever the fuck these things come from, right? Like when they switch it up, when they switch up a sign, they're like, that's not cool anymore. This is now cool. Then we don't like the old thing anymore, right? And they control our behavior, right? It influences our behavior. And the things that the signs represent, they can be switched out, right? They can be changed, right? And in this way, the thing can be destroyed, right? Just like a flag, like the American flag, right? You have an association of the American flag in your mind with whatever it means to you. And it's probably a bunch of stories that you weren't around for that happened before you're here. And the people that are still holding that up, they are invoking the memory of those stories, right? As the identity of that flag. But that's not really what the flag is, right? The flag is just a cloth, right? What is the sign, the material? That thing has been changed, right? Because we hold on to the image, right? And we say that's us. That's who we are. Well, they gave you communism now. You got fucking consumer communism. You have a government that doesn't even own itself. They're basically just trashing your Treasury Department to send out free money to people now. You're about to get your jaw dropped. And all this is done out of the same flag, right? It's the same image. What changed? Did the image change? It didn't. It's had 50 stars on there for a while. The color hasn't changed for a while. The actual, wavelengths of the red, the regulatory colors that they use in the flag, they haven't changed, right? The idea of what America is has changed, but the flag hasn't, right? The symbol, right? What about a coin? What about a money, right? You want to go try to buy some Air Jordans with a bunch of Greek coins from, fucking, 2 AD or something like that? You want to try to go into Amazon and buy try to like shove your Greek coins into the USB slot and see if you can get some Air Jordans off that bitch. You gonna see if you can get some black.com subscriptions. The reason I bring up black.com so much is because that's what we are. That's what humanity is right now. Well, if you went back to whenever the Greek coin was in circulation, if you went back to whenever the Greek coin was in circulation, I'll bet you could go buy yourself a nice piece of ass for that. I bet you could go pop them coins right on a desk in a little leather satchel, and you'd turn heads if you had enough. I'll bet that you could go and buy the Air Jordans of ancient Greece. I'll bet you could buy the best metals, and I'll bet if you had a wagon full of that shit, I'll bet you that the politicians, they may consider putting your balls in their mouth, potentially. Potentially. It depends on how big the wagon is. If we're talking like a semi-trailer, like if you could go back in time with a semi-trailer filled up with them fucking Greek coins, the good ones, whatever they were, whenever they were in circulation, I'll bet you that you could get some of the politicians, if you agreed that nobody's going to know about it, I'll bet that they put your nuts right in their mouth. You know that? Can you get Biden to put your nuts in his mouth if you go pulling up there with the tractor trailer with all them Greek coins right now? I mean, I don't know. You may be able to, but I would guess not. I would guess that he doesn't need that. Okay? Right? You see what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? This money is worthless. It doesn't exist. The money isn't real. You don't own it. It's not in your bank account. It's not there at all. It is absolutely nothing. It doesn't even exist in the physical world. Where is the value of the Greek coin that you could go get a BJ back in the time it was in circulation in ancient Greece? Where is the money? The physical coins are still there. You can go on eBay and buy ancient Greek coins. They're not worth what they were. They are physically the same. Where did the blowjob go? Where did the degenerative shit that people would do for money go? The power of that. Where did it go? It didn't stay in the physical coin. The physical coin's still there, and it's not. The coin is there. It's still here. They're dirty as fuck and all beaten up. They're still around. You're not going to get a blowjob from that. They gave you a blowjob. Where is she now? Where is she now? The color that you thought was a certain shade of red and made you feel a certain way, and then you held up another gray next to it and it changed it to a darker red and it just didn't work anymore, that wavelength is still there. Where did the power of that go? That made you feel warm and fuzzy. Where did it go? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not here blowing smoke up your ass. I'm trying to get you to wake the fuck up. I'm not here to sell you anything. And I'm not a fucking Fed. I'm here to wake you up. And that is it. And when you wake up, I'm done. So wake the fuck up. You know, people it's very easy to jump to the conclusions that are easy to see, both with signs and with judgment. All right? So you can watch this shit, listening to what I'm saying, hear the words, understand what I'm saying. And you could say, you know, Doug's just speaking a bunch of nonsense. Obviously, I'm not speaking nonsense if you understand what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying, and if I'm telling you this and nobody's told you this, then obviously it's not nonsense. If you can understand what I'm saying, if you can see it in your mind, not on a piece of paper in front of you, but in your head, and you're like, this is true, right? If you could get a blowjob for a Greek coin that's ancient, and it was worth something, right? And you got a blowjob, okay? But you can't do it for the exact same coin and carry the coin over thousands of years, and then you can't do the same thing, then what is in that coin is not identified by the coin. You see what I'm saying? These are separate things. So the quality that had any value is not physical, because the only thing of the representation for the value is the physical coin, right? Are you going to go in ancient Greece? Are you going to be like, yeah, I have a coin. It's worth a bunch of money. Let me get that BJ, dog. And then you're going to hold up your hand and there's nothing in it. Is that going to happen? No. It's in the physical coin, right? Now you have the coin in your hand. Is it going to happen? Yeah, it could happen, right? So it's in the fucking coin, right? We've established that, yes? The coin time travels thousands of years. It's the very same coin. This is an eBay relic. This isn't worth anything. I'm not going to go buy any blowjobs or Air Jordans. Okay? You get what I'm saying? The value is not. Oh, it's okay, Aaron. Well, I'll have a discussion with you because I need to clarify. You know what I mean? That coin now, right? Where it is now in present, the eBay relic that you can't get the BJ from and you can't get the fucking Air Jordans from, it is the same physical thing. We've already established that the value is in the physicality, right? Yet now it's not worth anything. Where and what is the quality of the value? Fuck, hang on, phone's gonna die. Think about that. And not worth a BJ thousands of years later. And in the ancient, then it's in the coin, but then it's not. Where did it go? And what is the quality of that value? What I'm trying to tell you is that all these fucking people are lying to you. There are other things here besides physicality. What we operate and walk around in with our fucking boots, where we tap the floor. There are other things besides that are not physical. Their entire quality is not physical, and they have no crossover with physicality whatsoever. Ever. You could attach your fucking GoPro camera to that ancient Greek coin and ride it through the time machine the entire time and go back and review the footage, you would never see the value leaving the coin. You get what I'm saying? It is not physical. It does not exist in this world ever. It is never where you live. Even though you're a coin in your hand, you're holding a relic. You see what I'm saying? It is the same thing, and yet it is different. If you didn't have the span of time, you are holding two things that are the same thing, that are both. Do you know where the value of money comes? It comes from God. It comes from your Creator. And when God says there's value, then there's value. And when God says there is no value, then there is not. The reason that it's not in physicality is because it is beyond the divide, where it comes from, where it goes back to. Now, in the future, someday, everybody's going to take all the money that they have and they're going to see it the same way they see a cheap ticket at an old porn theater. They're going to see it for what it really is, which is something that has no value at all. And they'll discard it. And that day is coming. It's still a ways away, but it's coming. Now, I don't like the word God. I don't like the word God because in the same way where we can't see the word, with word and its identity to all the things that it is for people, it's the same way with the word God. What God is something that is absolute. And when your language fails and the word God, which is from Old High German, when it goes away and nobody says it anymore, God will still be here. And so the name God, the word God, it drives people away from God. Like, not God. Now, I wanted to talk about this shit that unfolded over the last 24 hours. Now, what happened, I didn't consider, and then I saw a comment, I just saw pictures of him while I was on there for 2 seconds. What did it for me was I saw somebody said he's got face tattoos. That's what I saw. I saw face tattoos. Why would you listen to that guy? As soon as I saw that, my brain perceived it. I knew that I was going to have to watch the video. Right? I'm cutting out. How is it now? Is that any better? I'll just move some metal away. I don't want to be talking if it's cutting out. You got... All right. So I went to the DLive to make a quick stream, or I was considering it. Saw a bunch of comments about Dark being a Fed. Saw Aaron's link to his YouTube. Saw somebody say, "Don't listen to that guy. He's got face tattoos." As soon as I saw that, I knew I was going to have to watch the video. And I watched his video. All right? Now, what you should understand about a guy with face tattoos is that this is a holy man. Why? Because this man, he can never put on a suit and tie and go stand in front of somebody and sell them something that isn't there. He's never going to be able to veil his and sell something that he's not to somebody else in disguise, right? When I watched the video and I saw that I'm assuming he's enlisted, war veteran. Then I automatically know that this man's carved out a place for me to listen to whatever he has to say. Right? And when I listen to what he has to say, then I understand. Then I understand why no one brings the rain and the thunder and a flash storm while I'm texting Dark, where he's asking me to decipher some dream that he's got. Where it rains stronger than it's ever rained while I've been in this garage. Where it's so strong that it blocks my ability to continue a text message or to think. So that I have to shut the fuck up in my own head. And I have to acknowledge the power of what is going on. And it didn't make sense to me in that moment. I just have to listen. I just have to listen. I have to understand what is being said, because it's not going to be words all the time. I have no control over that. And the idea that is communicated is something that is very difficult to define and pen down. And it's not appropriate to use words, but out of the words, the only ones that I could come up with were evil reigns. And I don't understand what that means, but I know that I can't continue the text conversation, right? I'm interrupted on a text message and evil reigns. Since I don't understand what's going on, and I'm in the middle of a text message conversation, I say, I got the other half of the message, evil reigns. And that's what I send to Dark. Dark's confused. He says, I don't understand what it means. I say, I don't either. It means that what reigns right now is evil. Then, afterwards, after I quit trying to understand what's going on, then this comes, right? And what is unfolded? What is unfolded is an entire separation and disassociation. Why? It's because my identity of who I am is entirely created by he who is as he will be, by my association to everything else around me, and everything that I say, and everything that someone else says on my behalf. And that's why that happened. What I will tell you is that I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. But when I think it's before we got a frozen feed. Is the feed froze? I'm standing by. Okay. So Dark tried to get me to mail him a Yankee multiple times. I sold him a shotgun. Carnicon shotgun, which he put up on the wall in the background of the videos, right? There's a sign that says, right? Right? So he takes something, he takes a shotgun from Carnicon that's in a Carnicon video that probably, I don't even know how many people have seen that, right? He takes it and he hangs it up behind him, right? So it's a permanent sign of association, right? You get what I'm saying? Now it's back there in the back, right? Then after he gets the shotgun, he wanted me to send it to his house, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with just sending a motherfucker a shotgun. But I got to think, right? It's not how the laws work, right? So no, we're going to do an FFL. So I said to him an FFL. After that, he tries again to get me to send him a Yankee Boogle. Okay? And so I had a conversation with Dark. And I said, Dark, what you're asking me to do is illegal. The entire point of creating the Yankee Boogle is to create a proliferated item that is illegal, that basically has a minimal form function of a physical object. It's something that the federal government is highly interested in stopping, right? So the entire point of it is that you take something innocuous like a 3D printer that's ubiquitous everywhere, and you just create the shit out of thin fucking air, instead of going to a centralized source that can be cut off. It's everywhere. They're all over the internet. 3D printers, not only can you buy them for cheap as fuck right now, you can buy a 3D printer for like $100 if you look around, from China. You can build a 3D printer out of fucking parts from like an old printers and shit, if you read a little bit. So there's virtually no cost here. He wants me to send him a Yankee Boogle. So I have a long conversation with Dark and I say, you know, Dark, this defeats the purpose of why the Yankee Boogle is even there. This is you're asking for no at all. Like there's no cost. You could just print. You could just print the motherfucking thing. It literally takes I print 4 of them at a time when I do it. Under an 07. I print 4 of them at a time. It takes 15 minutes to print. It takes 15 minutes to print 4 of them. So I tell Dark, I say, if I send it to you, you've got a timestamp through the post office of where it came out here, how you fucking got it, what time, and then you've got the motherfucker in your possession. Something that's small, flimsy plastic that you could just print yourself and then snap it apart in sections. So there's no reason. So I tell Dark all of this shit. And then you know what Dark said to me? He said, wow, I never thought that deeply about it, about how something so simple could be so detrimental and a risk to somebody. Thank you for telling me that. I'm sorry. It was a mistake. That's what he said to me. Now, this was before the Darklight Dugan shit started, which, by the way, is not me. I didn't start fucking Darklight Dugan. I'm a fucking dude that picked up a fucking phone and just started ranting. And that's it. There's nothing here. There's nothing to sell. There's nothing to market or build off of. And when those guys beat down my fucking door, make fucking Darklight in, I told straight that if this is what I do, then if that's your heart, then you can do it. It's what you want. I don't want to be having anything to do with anything at all that is commercial. So as soon as this turns into a commercial interest, I'm out. And then it's slippery slope there the entire way the entire time, right? And now my association, my identity, by being identified with them because they wanted to make a brand name, a little sign with my name on it. Now it comes in here and it changes the identity of my identity, right? And so that's why I have to make this stream. Okay? Now to hear if Aaron is looking out for his friend, especially because they're combat vet buddies. By the way, he must be a very good friend to he has no idea what he's going to stand up against, right? He could come up here and make a video and get completely shit on, right? I will never do that to a war vet. I will never do that. You could curse my name all day. I will not turn on you. You didn't disrespect me. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. No disrespect at all. I completely understand. Now, with the Dark Light Dugan shit, I do not know what's going on. I don't know if these guys are feds. I don't know if they're dummies. I don't know what's going on. But they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand. And so they're trying to push it into a commercial interest that is the only thing that I said I would not do. It's my only stipulation. I didn't care if they took a shit on screen. I didn't care if they're drunk on screen. I don't give them any stipulation. I just say I will not do a commercial interest. That's it. Right? It's my only stipulation, right? Now, before this happened, right? Before this happened, we're going to talk about it because you guys need to understand the bigger picture of this stuff. Before this fucking happened, I don't know what happened exactly because I don't care. These guys approached HoloSun on my behalf. So the company HoloSun, because I said in a stream, in a joking way, during a stream I said, the only way I'd come back and make a video would be if I got sponsored by HoloSun and then just used it as an opportunity to describe the relationship between the Jews and China. And that was like said in jest, right? But I did say it, right? Even though it was a joke, I said it. And so one of the things that I'm working on is doing what I say, right? One of the things I work on is doing what I say. Now, because I said that, even though it was a joke and it wasn't supposed to be literal, they contacted HoloSun, and then they told me that HoloSun wanted to do a video and give me optics, and they were going to give, they implied that it was going to be free reign, and that the only question was how many optics do you want? And so I said, I will do one video. That was a joke, what I said in the stream, but I did say it. And so I'm trying to fulfill my promises. So I will do one video, and I will use it as the opportunity to expose the world to the relationship between the People's Republic of China and the Jews. In a funny video where I will start off shilling HoloSun, and then I will drop motherfucking atom bombs. And so that's what I was going to do. And I said, okay, I'll do it. One video. Don't give them any ideas. Don't lead on anything because I am absolutely not going to fucking bend over for HoloSun whatsoever. They didn't do that. They entertained HoloSun, and then HoloSun came back and said, we're huge fans of Dugan. Will he be keeping the optics? Will he be returning them? What kind of condition will the optics be in when they come back? You're lucky if you get fucking optics back that aren't like fucking charred. If you get anything back at all. I never did that shit. Never, never, never. I never operate like that. I never shill. I never work for somebody else in that kind of endeavor, in a creative endeavor. right? Because it's bigger than money, right? And so automatically that's a no-go, right? Dark, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have anything to do with it. I'm describing this bigger deal. I'm not pinning blame on the whole thing. I'm saying what happened. I'm saying, I didn't say you. I said these guys. That's what I said. And so this entire thing has spun out of control in a commercial interest. And that's why it has to stop. But this is not the same, I've fucking played this game before. You're being crucified. You crucified yourself, Dark. You're a part of it. You were on the fucking call when Cliff told me about it. If you want to get into specifics. Please don't interrupt. I would like to continue here. And so what these guys don't understand what is going on, and they don't understand that I've been down this fucking track over and over and over again. I've already seen this happen to other people. It happens all the time. Yes, save your judgment. Save judgment. I'm just saying what happens. Don't have judgment. Nobody have judgment. My interest is not commercial. I don't want a commercial interest. Okay? You want to talk about, we can talk. It's for the better. Judgmental, to tell people not to have judgment. Maybe right there. I don't know. So when we're doing these things that are because it's commercial interest, it's just, it really degrades the entire thing, right? It swallows it up. And you know what I do? I see circles. I go back in a big circle. Just circles, circles, circles. You know why? Because the people that we're interviewing, the guys that we're interviewing, although we're able to cut through the bullshit and get down to talking about the heart, right? Some of the YouTubers that we're talking to, when I watch their video, I see logos from companies that I made their fucking social media program. I set up their entire SEO and social media program for advertising, for the company that is sponsoring the guy that we're going to fucking interview, right? You get what I'm saying? It took me 2 years. And then it got passed off to somebody else, and then somebody else, and then 5 times later, and then here we are, right? That's why I see circles. And nobody knows that. The guy that we're interviewing cleaves something and shift it into a direction that we think we have control over. Disaster unfolds. And this is how it works, right? Because the truth is, that it doesn't matter why we shouldn't judge it, because it doesn't matter why it happened. There shouldn't be Iraq vets getting requests for Yankee Boogles because it's something you can just fucking print, right? And that would red line, right? Because I want nothing to do with commercialization, nothing at all. But that's the only way that we could go, right? That's the only way that anyone had any energy to push forward. Right? Well, that's not what I'm doing. Whatever you guys do with Dark Light Dugan, whatever you guys do with Dark Light Dugan, you do not need me for it. There is no difference between me being there and me not being there. The reason that people are going there is not because you're going to hook them up with some kind of insider deal or connection to somebody that you know. Nobody cares about that stuff. That's the world that we're all coming from. The reason that anybody is coming to Dark Light Dugan is because they're seeking truth. And you have the same connection to truth as I do. And so you don't need me there. I am vapor. You don't need me at all. You just thought that you did. Did any of that come through? I gotta wrap this shit up. You guys don't need me on Dark Light Dugan. Whatever it is that you wanted to make, you can make on your own. Just like every other motherfucker that came and saw me as a jumping board and tried to jump off me, and they end up crashing and burning themselves because in their heart they didn't want to do what they said that they wanted to do. What they really wanted to do the whole time was crash and burn. I didn't change. I've changed nothing. I'm still on a motherfucking cell phone here in this fucked up garage, standing in a puddle of my own dip spit, which, by the way, is exactly where I started. It's exactly where I started. Okay? There is no difference. There's nothing lost here. Okay? I didn't lose any kind of investment. I'm still using Jew media. Okay? There's no difference. Right? What you guys are making and what you do is your own acts. And it is the only thing that we have. We are not here. All of this world is fake. Just like you thought you saw color and it's not there, it's because it's not fucking there. Because God is making your entire for you at all times. Do you get what I'm saying? The money isn't here. The money is from God, and He's testing everyone, and we're all failing terribly. And that shit, that line is about to run out of slack. And so sometimes we don't see what the reason for things are, but they just happen anyway, right? Because we're not in control. So there should be no blame except for where blame is due, and there should be no judgment except where judgment is due, which is not for us. Because what we see is not what it appears to be, and it never is, and it never will be. And judgment's not for us. Judgment is for the Lord. Does that all make sense? Does that tie it all together here? What I'm trying to say is that your hands and what you choose to do with it are your entire interface to this world. The things like money aren't here. They're not physical. They're entirely abstract. You do with it what you're going to do with it. The idea of Pythagorean theorem to make a perfect corner on a building doesn't manifest unless you use your hands to try to do it. What you build is not going to be perfect, like Pythagorean theorem, but you can access Pythagorean theorem in your head and then build something. You can do it. I am not the center point and some kind of wall between you and your access to Pythagorean theorem to build what you want to build. You have access to it just like anybody else. And I am not standing in your way. I am not condemning you. I am trying to wake you up. And that is it. That is it. That is all. Yes, we are all retarded. That is true. I'm probably especially retarded trying to explain how we're all retarded.